Hey,
Rally around the
rally
West
from the West
Indies.
Indies.
Rally around
Rally.
the West Indies. Now and forever. What a way for the West Indies to close out 2023 with a whopping of England winning the ODI series 2-1 and clinching the T20 series 3-2. Welcome to our first ever episode. Welcome our expert analysis, Davian. Welcome, Davian.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Ronaldo. It's an honor to be here.
Definitely. And of course, firstly, we're gonna review the 2023 season for West Indies, or the cricketing year. And first thing we have to start with, of course, is Test cricket. Now, going to Test cricket, first thing, what do you think, Davian, in terms of a rating? Give me a number out of 10 how you would rate West Indies Test cricket performance for the year 2023.
But to be honest, Ronaldo, I give the rating a 2 out of 10. We Test cricket continues to be our weakest format. We lost to South Africa 2-0 in South African Test series, two-match series. We lost to India 1-0. And why we didn't even lose second game is because of weather. So the weather saved us there. So is that because the batters batted a whole day or 2 days? Weather saved us there. So we need a lot of work to be done in the Test cricket arena.
So basically, 4 matches this year, no victory, 3 losses, 1 draw, and the draw was on the back of basically, as you would have put it, rain saved us the entire day, washing out the final day. So India didn't even get a chance to bowl at us in our pretty much our second innings. Well, we did bat a couple of overs, about 20 or so, but yeah, they didn't get a full day to bowl at us. So as you put it, we possibly could have been staring down, losing all test matches for the year.
And, and to add to that, Ronaldo, I remember 10 years ago, anytime West Indies play Test series, it was always 3 matches or sometimes 4. I realized since recently, last 1 or 2 years, most of the Test series we're engaging is just two Test matches. So the other teams which are higher ranked, they're seeing it doesn't make any sense to really have more than 2 Test matches when it comes to West Indies.
And that's a good point that you bring up. Looking at it, as you would have said, we only get basically 2 match test series. So bigger nations like Australia, England, India, they don't want to play a 3 match and a 5 match test series with us. And to be fair, if we're gonna look at it from their perspective, I can understand why they wouldn't want to play West Indies in a 3 match test series. There wouldn't be a lot of profit. Nobody's watching. And what's the point of stomping West Indies 3-0 or 5-0 in a 5 test match series? A 5 test match series is supposed to be like the Ashes. It's a ding-dong
Right, right,
battle. So
right,
five
right.
test matches is to then separate who's definitely the better team. But I mean, 2 matches is sufficient to see that other teams are better than us in test cricket at this point in time. But let's jump straight into it, into the review. So you brought it up. We got a stomping versus South Africa earlier in the year. Most of the test matches too finishing within 4 days. So let's start with the South Africa test. Your assessment there, the first match would have lost by 87 runs, and the second match 284. Your take on it, both test match,
All
first
right.
and second.
So basically, first Test match, I think South Africa apparently batted first in the first Test. So you can see there normally on the first day of a Test match in South Africa, the conditions are excellent for bowlers. So the mere for South Africa made over 300 runs on a first day pitch means that the bowlers were not tight enough in their bowling. So the bowling failed us there. In our reply, you see we allowed Aiden Markham to get away with a century. Matter of fact, the opening partnership is really where we lost the game. We lost the game from the opening partnership. Dean Oliver making 71 and Aiden Markham making 115. When those batters were out, you see where no other batter made more than 29 runs. Everybody else was in the 20s, one digit or teens. So go to show that it was a bowling pitch. 342 runs. They easily got more, 100. They got 100 runs more than what they should have received. And look at the bowling, look at our reply. We saw where Raymond Reefer, to be honest, Raymond Reefer is not a number 3 batter in my books. However, he made a very good half century and he got some support from the other batters. Where you see, once you reach number 7 going down, the digits were basically one digit. None of the batters who were set carried on to a big score. When we bowled in the second inning, it was much better. Again, Aiden Markham was a third in the back. We see where he top score for the South Africans, but they were all out for 116. In our reply, we chasing 200 plus runs in South Africa is very difficult. But we see where Jermaine Blackwood is an excellent batter in second innings. Anytime West Indies normal get opportunity to chase second innings of a test match, can count on Jermaine Blackwood to make an impact. He plays very positive cricket when the team is chasing, and he made an excellent 79. He did not receive any support from any batter. I see his strike rate of 80 plus, and they past day 3 against a quality South Africa attack. They have quality. You have Kagisa Rabado, you have Enrich Narke, we have Johnson, we have Coxey. So we see that 4 quality pacers. He stood up to 4 quality pacers that make an half century. So he showed his class there. Even though we lost by 87 runs, but seeing how the game started and ended, the margin of loss was much bigger than that.
And you made an excellent point. The excellent point is to start the year. We basically gave South Africa 100 plus opening stand, and that was the difference between us winning that test match. South Africa definitely the better team in this test, but as you were saying, if we could have found a way to climatize a lot faster, gotten rid of the opening pair, it would have been a much different match. As you were realizing, you said it at the start, that 100 runs opening stand. Take that out the equation and West Indies will actually win the game. So take out that stand.
So the African and West Indies, they are both bowling teams when it comes to tests. When West Indies win tests, it's because of their bowling, not batting. So you realize if the bowling does not click, we will not win test matches. We have a quality bowling lineup in tests.
And even going back, I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't even watch this test match. I remember I woke up 4 o'clock because in the Caribbean for us 4 a.m. would be around about like 10:30 a.m. in South Africa. So I woke up 4 o'clock and I realized that South Africa were 20 something without loss when I looked at my phone, and I watched a couple overs. Alzari bowling, Shannon Gabriel bowling, and I'm like, we're not taking any wickets. This is South Africa. I saw the ball moving a bit, but we just weren't hitting the right line and length. And so I just said, you know what? I'm not watching this test match because it's going to be licks.
You're certainly right.
It's very hard to watch West Indies getting licks, especially, to lose some sleep over us getting licks. I certainly didn't follow this test series as closely. So that was the first test. Looking to the second test, we don't even need to detail review this. If you look at it, it was just a stomping. If we look at the second test,
we bowl terribly and batted terribly in the second test. Right.
But I mean, if you look at it, let's just analyze the scores here. 212, 159, 251, 106. So at no point in this series did we pass 300, not even once in one single innings. What do you make of that?
It shows that the batting is very weak. And also another trend you will see that the score in the second innings of each test is lower, significantly lower than the first innings. So the first innings we made little over 200. The second innings we made less than 200. In the second test match, the first innings we made more than 200, while for the second innings we made less than 200. So it shows an inability of the batters putting 200 plus runs in both innings of a test match.
And you know, interesting point that you just brought up because even our captain, Craig Brathwaite, he has an average in first innings of 40 something, whereas the second innings average is in the teens. And he's the man that is supposed to be leading us with the bat in terms of most experience. And if he's the most experienced guy and in second innings, he usually doesn't put his hand up, then oftentimes we're going to be in trouble, right?
Yeah, it shows in the scores. I don't know why Craig Brathwaite he is above average batter, but from his debuts, he more he always struggles in the second innings of a test match, and that's an area of his batting as a captain he needs to work on. Can be a case now several second innings you're basically failing, and he most of the time he's out for a duck the second innings. Right. There's a point in time where every time Craig Brathwaite went out to bat in the second innings, you were sure he was going to be out for a duck. Right. So
No, just to look at the overall statistics from this test tour of South Africa. If you look at it dominated, look at that Aiden Markram averaging way over 50. And if you look at third best, look at that. It's
Jeremy
Jeremy
Blackwood.
Blackwood averaging
Right.
31, Jason Holline. If you look at it, there's no Craig Brathwaite there. Raymond Reefer had that one innings of, I think, the 60 odd, 68, and the next three innings coming to 17. That's not doing justice to your figure. So, really and truly, our batting was horrendous in this series. Look at that. Craig Brathwaite, Stewart.
Eva Bowler, Gerard made more runs. Right.
Yeah, so the batting was horrendous this test series. Now, so what would you rate our performance in South Africa out of 10?
For the test series, 1 out of 10. One
One
out
out
of
of
10.
10.
And the only reason why they got the one is because they in each test match they basically they took 20 wickets.
Good. That's the only
Right.
positive takeaway
That was the
was
only
that.
right. There was a case of South Africa declaring. But to be honest, South Africa batting is very brittle in tests. So as a bowling unit, once you have proper fast bowlers, you taking 20 wickets against South Africa is a guarantee. It's just a case of how much runs you let them score before you take the 20 wickets. And I think one area, even though we're a bowling team in test match, we lack the ability to build pressure and take wickets out pressure, of that build up pressure. We mostly take wickets from one brilliant delivery. But if there is not significant movement, we're not able to build that pressure and let batters implode. So I think we bowl too aggressive, too attacking in test cricket. We don't know how to bowl dry. So I think if we learn how to bowl dry as a bowling unit, when conditions are not so helpful, we will take wickets. But even though they take a lot of wickets, they have a high strike rate. Most of the economies are on the higher side. Azari Joseph very expensive. Shannon Graber is very expensive. Yeah, Kemar Roach and Jason Older will basically be economical, but they won't really take much wickets. We see where
But look
Azari
here,
Joseph.
Alzari and Jason, they were very, very good, pretty much. So,
Right.
Kyle Mayers, for some reason, Kyle Mayers is always, whether it was last year in Australia, whether it's in South Africa, for some reason, Kyle Mayers has this knack of picking up wickets when England was here. What do you think about Kyle Mayer's bowling in Test cricket?
Carl Myers is an excellent bowler in Test cricket. Excellent. He, no, he's a unique bowler in a sense. He's one of the few bowlers going around when bowling Test cricket. He will be both economical and take wickets. Most times bowling test cricket, they do one. Either they take wickets and be expensive, or they're very economical and don't take much wickets. But he keeps that line. He gets movement through the air and off the pitch. So he both swings and seams the ball.
That is definitely true. He gets a lot of movement, whether it's off the pitch or in the air. So he's very useful in all conditions. But I think Kyle Mayers, he's more a batting all-rounder. But for some reason, he's performing a lot better with the ball, especially in Test cricket. Now, as we finish brush up on the South Africa tour, which was horrendous for us, so we fast forward to India. India came here in the Caribbean for a 2 test match series, and that definitely both of us we were watching. And what do you reckon from the India test series? West Indies lost 1-0. Of course, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, they were in town in the Caribbean. We lost 1-0. What were your assessment of the India tour
Well, I can
to
say
the
that
Caribbean?
India winning the series 1-0, it showed their depth. Yeah, they showed serious depth that when Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, when they should move on, they have players who can up their game. It showed a gap in quality between West Indies and India. So West Indies nowhere close to challenging India in Test cricket. In earlier days, early 2000, the bowlers will probably challenge them. But right now, India fast bowlers, they are top quality. So the
But
Indian batters, they're very used to facing quality bowlers. So the West Indies fast bowlers, even though they bowl well, the Indian batters were able to stand to the challenge and basically bat.
I pose 2 questions to you. I hear you mention Indian batters able to pretty much able to bat in all conditions. 2 things, however, we dropped a lot of catches in this series, so really and truly the scorecards could have been significantly different had we taken our chances. So the
True.
bowling would have looked, their figures would have been way better. Not saying we don't have won or anything like that. And second thing is that Craig Brathwaite won the toss, bat first when there was a lot of moisture in the pitch, and they were got steamed out for like 150 something in the first test. What did you reckon from that decision to say he's just gonna bat first, and then we got steamrolled?
I think what I noticed with Craig Brathwaite captaincy, there this bias whenever he wins the toss to bat first. And also see when Jason Oda was captain, whenever he wins the toss, there was this bias to always bowl first. So I think Craig Brathwaite need to, before it goes to the toss, he looks at the pitch, look at what the pitch may do based on his experience, because it's an opening battle. So he must kind of have the ability to look at the pitch and have some of the idea how it will play. And discuss with the bowlers and the groundsmen to see, all right, based on how the pitch looks, if I win the toss, what is the best chance of the team winning? So another thing, West Indies, when they win test matches, they win test matches chasing, not necessarily defending. West Indies bowlers are not good at defending totals. So that is one thing. If the pitch shows it's better to bowl based on our record of excellent chasing, he should allow the bowlers to have a bowl.
What do you think about in this test series, right, against India? The first test match, he won the toss and bat first. It wasn't a bat first pitch. He got better over the course of the 5 days. However, in the second test match, it was a flat pitch. He decided to bowl first, have India score tons of runs, got his
Right, right.
bowlers tired, and then again, we just got saved because it was again the rain. But it was a very good batting pitch. West Indies batted over 130 odd overs, barely scoring 250, going at just a touch over 2 runs per over. what do you make of the assessment of Craig Brathwaite's captaincy and his poor judgment on the pitches? Because that is something where captains with their leadership group, they should be able to assess the wicket, especially given that we're home. Why is it so difficult for us to assess the wicket and to know what to expect, as you'd say, in the
I
ODS
think
20 setup?
I, I think his inability to assess the pitch is probably a case of when he's playing first class cricket. There are cases where the pitch have a particular look, and he has seen scenarios where they play differently. So I don't think the pitches are created properly to say, okay, this is how the pitch looks, this is how we play. So I think that what played on his mind. So look at the picture and say, I've seen pitches like this in the Caribbean where expected to play this way and it plays the total opposite. So I think West Indies Cricket Board need to invest in preparing proper pitches. Yeah, it can be a case to look at a pitch and an outside person can say, well, you expect to see man bounce. And when they're playing it, they see the ball either staying very low or getting steep bounce. And I think Darren Sammy Cricket Stadium is our best pitch in the region because based on the record, it plays true to its nature. Don't be a case no one game is a high scoring game, the next one is a low scoring game. So we need more predictable pitches in the region.
Definitely, and that's something that our ODI captain Shea Hope spoke on in terms of consistent pitches. However, but we still have to look at the fact that our test cricketers, be it on flat pitches, as they did in the second test, they got a flat pitch. And if you
Uh-huh.
look here on the amount of runs and their average, they're still not batting well even on the flat pitch.
You're
So
right. Yeah, that's that. What I think they need to do, probably do, they, I think the problem with West Indies cricket, the person in charge, they lack creativity. So they, if I were in charge, what I would have done in the Test cricket arena is very obvious the batters lack confidence. We have a lot of good bowlers coming through, so probably need to have a season where all Test matches are played on flat pitches. Or batters lack the ability to bat long. If they give them a flat pitch, they won't bat more than 100 deliveries. And I think as an analyst, we need to look at how much deliveries the best batter in the region bat per position. So they can say, okay, which batter in the world average the most as an opener? How much deliveries does he bat per innings? And what is the strike rate? So I think we need to analyze our batters based on amount of deliveries they play and let them know. We need to let them know benchmarks, what we want them to work on. So if a number three batter in the world, on average, comparing all test playing team, they average 150 deliveries. We need to encourage our batters to bat certain number of deliveries based on their batting position. And if a batter is scoring runs at number four in the first class level and they come into the international setup, don't bat them out of position. And I think West Indies selectors, they're guilty of doing that too frequently.
that is so true. As you mentioned a lot of stuff there, fully loaded with bullets shooting at Cricket West Indies.
Right.
So as you mentioned, batting out of position, we'd have seen a lot of guys. Pretty much they would bat maybe at 5 and 6 in the first class season, but when they come into the test setup, they're now at number 3, they're at number 4, and we rotate our players pretty much in different positions, so they don't get to bat where they would normally bat in the first class season. So that is
Right. Keep,
definitely a point I fully
right.
endures. Now, before we end off on the test arena, as you would have rated them 2 out of 10, and before I give my input, I just want to ask you, so now moving forward to 2024, what do you think West Indies can tinker with, given that we have 6 test matches, I believe, for 2024? What do you think we should be trying to do for the upcoming test series against Australia 2024? And also, what are your thoughts on the fact that Darren Bravo actually denied to play in the Australia series come January. What are your thoughts on that? Cricket West Indies reached out to him. So first thing with the first question, some pointers that we need to work on for the 2024 Test arena for West Indies.
All right. So the lovely thing about cricket, regardless of the format, there are three components: batting, bowling, and fielding. The first thing I will comment on is fielding. You mentioned that a lot of the test matches, whether home or away, will drop a lot of catches. I think the guys who we have, they can catch, but I think how we can improve the fielding in test situations, improve their physical fitness, and also their mental fitness. So if we improve their physical and mental fitness, they will drop less catches. That's number one.
All right.
The batting, we need to have sessions where focus only on defense. Defense. We need to create more technical sound batters. When they defend the deliveries, they keep the bat close to their body and over. And also when they're defending, they have the ability to defend deliveries into gaps and score runs. Too much times in test cricket, when we score runs, we basically we're scoring off only boundaries. So we're waiting on opposition bowlers to bowl either half volley or short and wide before we can score runs. World class, world class bowlers won't give you much freebies. That's one thing we need to work on. And the bowling, I really think the bowling, they probably need to learn how to bowl defensively. We bowl very well when conditions favor, where there's swing and seam and bunks, but where conditions are not in line, we don't bowl defensively. So that's the only aspect of the bowling we need to work on. What do they do when wickets are not coming? They have a thing in Test cricket. If as a bowling unit, if you're not taking wickets, you need to control the run rate. And I believe West Indies Test bowlers, for the most part, they allow opposition to get away freely run scoring. Even when they're taking wickets, the batters get a lot of boundary delivery. So I think West Indies bowlers, Test bowlers, they need to drastically reduce the boundary deliveries that they give. So that is how we can improve on
I
all
just
three
want to
facets.
tackle a couple points that you made. So you mentioned, however, as I said, all points that I agree with. You mentioned where we should look at persons who bat at particular positions, 3, 4, 5, and then we
Right,
compare them to the rest of the world. How
right.
many balls are somebody batting at 3 is facing? How many deliveries at 4? However, if I actually look at it, when we actually get these flat surfaces, West Indian batters actually average facing more deliveries, but we're just not scoring any runs. If you look at this, I just want you to actually look at this, even in the second test. Craig Brathwaite faced 235 balls. If you give 235 balls to a David Warner, I'm guaranteed they get 150.
Right. That is true. That is true.
Tej Narayan Chandapal, 95 deliveries. If you give Usman Khawaja 95, he's going to be probably about 50 runs.
Right, right.
Um, 57 deliveries, Kurt McKenzie, 32. Jermaine Blackwood, 92. You're not seeing any number 4 like Virat Kohli, a Joe Root. They're getting 92 balls. They'll be at 60 runs. Babar Azam. So again, we're actually facing a lot of deliveries. I think West Indies and India batted the same number of overs. And if you look at our score, we scored 255. India batting the same amount of overs, scored 413 or somewhere very close.
Right,
So
right.
we're actually facing that amount of deliveries. And even when England came here the year before, we're facing a lot of deliveries, but we're just not scoring runs. So how do we go about that situation now? They're blocking, 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 and then
Wow.
boundary, then out. So how do we go about now?
All right. So I think that issue has to do from our cricketer grassroots level. I think we as West Indians, when we see a batter hitting ball along the ground, we don't really like that. We like to see ball being hit in the air over fielders. So we need to create a culture where we have batters in the early aspect of their innings, they learn how to score runs, keeping deliveries on the ground, and learn how to use defensive shots as scoring options. Most of our batters, when they make runs, it has to be an attacking shot. They don't know how to use a simple forward and block into gap to score runs. So even though they're not blocking deliveries into gaps. They're not blocking where there are no fielders. So that is hence they're not benefiting from this consistent blocking. And there are moments where they get a loose delivery because they're blocking so much, they either block that loose delivery or hit that delivery straight to a fielder.
Yeah.
So we need to work on a gap finding from defensive and attacking position. But
And
we
it
think
stems from the defensive mindset.
right, exactly. We're not proactive. But Jermaine Blackwood actually bats as a proper test cricketer when we're chasing a second innings. Because most time his strike rate is over 80. I remember a point where we toured Pakistan in the UAE and he made a 98 while we were chasing against world-class bowler and did very well on day five.
Well,
Day
let's
five
let's
pitch.
let's look at Jermaine Blackwood now in 2023 because this year is the year we want to focus on. Jermaine
Right.
Blackwood this year is not the same Jermaine Blackwood from 2020 or 2016 or whenever we went to the UAE back in 2016 or whenever we went to England. It's not the same Jermaine Blackwood. This Jermaine Blackwood is now averaging around 110 deliveries per innings, but only making 26 runs from his 110 balls per innings, which is not whether it's first or second innings, this is the new Jermaine Blackwood. And let's end it off here. Jermaine Blackwood is dropped for the test series coming up in Australia. What are your thoughts on that, given that he's the third highest leading run scorer for West Indies in tests for the year, and he's dropped?
I disagree with that move totally. Yes, he's not in the best of form, but he's batting time. And once he's staying out there, he loves pace. He bats really well against pace. So even though Mitchell Stark, Jermaine Blackwood is class, his issue is consistency, but he will give that quality innings now and then. He has the ability to overcome challenges, and I think he would have been a great addition to the middle order facing Mitchell Stark, just Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. So
I think first and foremost, I it might sound a way to say this, but I don't think we're gonna see any of those three bowlers in the squad. I think Australia is gonna look at our test squad, and no disrespect to West Indies, but looking at this squad of youngsters, the Justin Greaves, the Alec Athanas, the pretty much all youngsters about to debut, and those who already debuted, they're not deep in their career. Alec Athanas just the one series, Kurt McKenzie the one series. So it's pretty much like an uncapped 15.
right,
And
right,
so
right.
I don't think Australia, they're going to send their full strength squad. I think we might see the Prime Minister's 11 being named as the Australian.
Right, right, right.
I just cannot see Australia picking their full strength team for the test series, especially knowing that right after they have the T20s and the ODIs. And I think West Indies will definitely provide more competition in those areas as opposed to the test match.
Test,
So
right.
yeah, we're down bad in test cricket. I think it's fair enough to end it off there. We spent a good while talking on test cricket, and the selectors, they got a lot of work to do, right?
Right, they do. We had a
Lots
question
of-
about Darren Bravo. I don't think I got a chance to answer that question.
Yes, definitely.
When Darren Bravo, again, in the region, we lack good communication. When Darren Bravo was not included in the ODI squad, they should have said, okay, Darren Bravo, we will not consider you for the ODI squad for England touring us. However, we want you to be in the squad for the test series coming up in January. Dan Bravo would have said yes to that. They reaching out to Dan Bravo now gives the impression that they're only reaching out to him because Jason Ola made himself available, unavailable. Carl Myers making himself unavailable, and also Shea Hope made himself unavailable. So that is what I get from them reaching out to Darren Bravo. And
I
that's how Darren Bravo.
100% agree. I
And
100% agree.
right, and we know that Darren Bravo, unfortunately, is full of ego. So once he feels that his ego is being trampled on, this is how he will react.
And I
So
agree
that's
with him as well. You cannot, a batsman in form making runs. He was a leading run scorer in our Super 50. And in the regional 4D competition, he was second only to Alec Athanas. Those were our
right.
top two batters. So at the end of the day, to be treating Darren Bravo as if he's some youngster just coming into the team, I mean, Bravo hearing that the other guys turned down contracts, not playing in the test squad, don't want to play in the test cricket for now until after the World Cup. And then Bravo to be there as the only senior player. Basically, they'd be putting pressure on him to say, you're the senior batsman, go and try to win us a game in Australia. And if he doesn't do well and he fails, then they'll probably want to write off his career. So
Right, exactly.
I think Bravo did the right decision. I think he made the right decision. Wait until all the guys are back into the test setup after the World Cup. Make some runs again in the first class season. And then you never know. Next season, we can be looking better for the test matches against England and further down in the year. But pretty much this Australia test tour, it's going to be a challenging one for us. Let's hope that the youngsters actually put in some performance.
But what I read with our test team, even though he has been declining, when we what Kirk Boswell needs to do, ensure the game lasts to the final day. Whenever West Indies draw, well, ignoring weather, even weather, of course, when West Indies draw games or win games, it happens when we bring game to the field. I don't remember the last time West Indies bring a test game into the last day and we have lost. Anytime we lost test matches, we normally lose in three days, within 3 days. But once we pass 4 days, most times the result is favorable. So that is one thing I think Craig Braswell needs to remind the guys of. And I think we bringing game to the fifth day has to do with mental and physical fitness.
Gonna be a lot to ask for, given how brittle the batting is. Justin Greaves, Kavem Hodge, Zachary McCaskey, Tejnarayan Shandapal, Brathwaite himself. I mean, it's a tall ask, but let's hope for the best and see what our test team can come up with. No.